I love my country. I'm not going to apologize for it. Period.
And they think we're nothing but puppets for them. We're not. We're Americans born of a revolution.
I just wish college was that. I wish college was actually about creating more mature, better prepared, stronger people for the world.
And it's all about putting the American people and America first.
All right, let me tell you something. Here's my view on the Jewish Republican Alliance and on the places that do good work. I say it on the show every day. There are two types of people who do good. The ones who do the good and the ones who help the ones who do the good. Not everybody's a fighter, but everybody can help the fighters. These guys are fighters. So if it means joining them, if it means sending them money.
It takes courage to stand for what you believe in, and the Jewish Republican Alliance is not backing down. We will continue to fight for freedom of speech, to keep the presumption of innocence for those who are accused of a crime. We will fight for capitalism and freedom and all the innovation and prosperity that comes with it, and to make sure that America never becomes a socialist country.
Now, for those of you who've been to JRA events in the past, you know how much Bruce and I relish sharing with you that it matters not if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, Jewish, Christian, Catholic, Muslim, atheist, it doesn't matter. This is where you belong. We love having you at our events. You are always welcome, in fact, encouraged to attend Jewish Republican Alliance events. If you love America and you love Israel, this is your home. This is where you belong.
The founding fathers loved Judaism. Madison spoke Hebrew. Jefferson wrote admiringly of the Jewish people and the Jewish tradition. Washington famously wrote to the Jews of Newport, in this country we will no longer speak of toleration as if by the will of one people another people is accepted. We are all equal in America. And the Bible tells us, Hashem oz li'amo yitain. God will give the Jewish people strength, oz. Hashem yivarech et amo b'shalom. Only then will the Jewish people have peace. Strength comes before peace. Stay strong. Be firm. Stick to your principles, and we will prevail. Thank you.
And they think we're nothing but puppets for them. We're not. We're Americans born of a revolution. DNA, a revolution is in our veins, and they can't take my gun from me, and they can't take it from you, and this president has to be reelected or everything will change.
And Joe Biden has been in government for almost 47 years. That's almost half a century. He haven't done anything, not one thing for Black America that was good. He pushed a crime bill that decimated the Black community, took Black fathers out of the home where Black boys and girls wasn't raised with their fathers. You see what I'm saying? So what good has he done for Black America?
It's the lousy schools, the bad leadership, the anti-cop attacks, the crime going on in the inner city that is being ignored. What happened the other weekend in Chicago? 14 people shot and killed, over 100 wounded? And we're talking about removing a Confederate statue? I didn't see any Confederate generals leaving the scene of the crime, did you? I mean, it's ridiculous, but it's what the media does for ratings and what the Democrats do for votes.
When you don't believe in God, you don't believe in nothing, you will believe in anything. And so we are seeing that manifest today. I always want to refute that mantra that you hear that religion has been responsible for more deaths and murder and mayhem than anything else. Well, it's a quip that I believed in myself when I became an atheist, but now I realize that it's completely the opposite. There's nothing more destructive than atheism, the lack of God. In fact, if anything, it was because religion was out there that we were able to withstand so many murders and such mayhem and torture and rape and all the brutality that you can imagine.
There's a mind virus. And what is a virus? So COVID is a virus, and it was very easy to catch and hard to get rid of. Well, that's what leftism is. It's very easy to catch this bad set of ideas and identity politics and all of these things. And then it's very difficult to get rid of those ideas, because once you've labeled everybody racist and a bigot, well, you know that if you wake up, you know what they're going to do to you, and that ain't so much fun.
The reason that we can call for more morality, the reason that the left can say things are immoral, is thanks to Judeo-Christian beliefs that built this society.
The Louis Farrakhan thing is fascinating, isn't it? He is clearly the nation's most prominent anti-Semite, and yet the Black Congressional Caucus refuses to denounce him. This is a party that constantly talks about racism, 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 but they've got a guy, Louis Farrakhan, who the Congressional Black Caucus refuses to denounce. There's a huge, huge problem within the black community regarding anti-Semitism, and it largely stems from flat-out ignorance. As Candace pointed out, we've had a long history of getting along well, of supporting each other, but recently, because of the people like Louis Farrakhan, it's taken a turn. Most people don't know how influential Jews have been in the history of this country for black people. A man named Julius Rosenwald helped Booker T. Washington build something like 5,000 schools. A Jew co-founded the NAACP. Jack Greenberg was one of the minds behind the legal strategy that ultimately was successful in Brown versus Board of Education. 3/4 of the whites who went in the early 60s in the Freedom Fighters on freedom rides to desegregate buses, 3/4 of them were Jewish. The 3 people that were killed in Mississippi burning, Schwermer, Goodman, and Cheney, 2 of the 3 were Jewish. Jews have been very, very friendly towards blacks. Israel airlifted something like 15,000 Ethiopian Jews out of Africa who were being persecuted and were facing famine in the mid-'80s and early '90s, and yet most black people are completely ignorant about all of this. So the real problem is within the black community. We need to do something about it.
Thank you.
I also hope you guys realize why I would never debate Larry Elder. See, Dave Rubin, fatal step, fatal step. I'm glad we're on the same side because I'd never debate you. Never debate you.
When Trump came in, the world changed. All of the old time, this is why there are a bunch of national security professionals who are never Trumpers, because he repudiated their lifetime of work. They all warned him, if you move the embassy to Jerusalem, everything will fall apart, there'll be riots, you'll isolate the Arab world. They then went out and began strengthening their friends, and ultimately the United Arab Emirates decided to take the lead, and for the first time in 25 years, you had a new relationship between Israel and an Arab country.
They are intentionally making us believe that we are hunted, that we are unwanted, that we are in danger, that we exist in an oppressive country, in an oppressive atmosphere from which we cannot break free or succeed. And that was the moment that I decided it's not enough for me to just walk away from the Democratic Party and liberalism. I want to actually fight back against this complex, which is creating so much division, so much hatred.
No, it is not normal for blacks to have so much crime, so much illiteracy, so much unemployment, so much single family homes. It's not normal, my friends. This is on purpose. It's been done by policies. And what's happened to my community is what the left is trying to do to our country. We cannot afford to let those folks do what they did to my community, do to our country. And we now understand, we're waking up. And it's because we know that they're not going to win this for sure. I love my country. I'm not going to apologize for it. Period.
With a lot of what I would call old-fashioned Biden liberals or independents, they look at Antifa or Black Lives Matter and they have no idea what they're dealing with. If you said to them, they're going to change the whole idea of America, it's not going to be 1776, it's going to be 1619. They're going to have mandatory admission and hiring based solely on race. The NBA is basically going to be a megaphone for China. We're going to have a wealth tax. We're going to have Medicare for all. We're going to have a new Green Deal. We're going to have open borders. They're going to say, no, Joe Biden will take care. Joe Biden won't take care. He's a Kerensky-like figure, only much weaker.
60% of my generation, because most of them went to college, have been taught and convinced that America is racist, homophobic, bigoted, backwards, and an instrument of oppression. The country, unfortunately, has been rapidly embracing these ideas on the coasts. I think that Socratic discourse and dialogue and different ideas is very important. I just wish college was that. I wish college was actually about creating more mature, better prepared, stronger people for the world. Instead, it's about creating bitter, arrogant, deceitful people that want to burn the entire civilization around that they have been born into.
Hard American people are waking up to the fact of what is happening, and they are now warriors. We have more warriors in America, people who understand the truth, than I think ever before. And because of that, we can do a lot of good, but it's about people embracing their inner warrior and saying, I'm going to be someone who stands for truth, and we will see what happens. I do not know. I wish I knew more, but all I know is that I'm going to keep fighting, and I hope everyone else will too.
It's the old joke that Reform Judaism is the Democrat Party with holidays. Leftism is a crypto religion, and all the deracinated Jews, they need the religion, and the religion is now communism, if you like. I call it fascism. It doesn't really matter. It's socialism, utopianism. It's a dream of a world that's redeemed, and that's the left in a nutshell. They think they're gods remaking the world, and they don't understand that there can never be social justice because it's going to be administered by human beings who are venal, corrupt, selfish, dishonest. We could go on and on. It's a constant fight. The fact that there are good people in the world is kind of a miracle.
And I tell you, when people leave the left, there is this sort of propagandization, if that's a word. Like you're like this with all those leftist ideas because you've been told this, this is the right way, support Black Lives Matter, support this, wear this on that. You've been told all these things and you're just a good little woke activist, right? Woke activist, doing all these little things and like, yep, I'm in Hollywood, it's very extreme out here. And then it was like, wait, but that doesn't actually help anybody. Hashtag this, but that's not right, but they're anti-cop. But I don't believe in that. That's not me. Wait, what? All of this stuff. And when I came out for Trump, I said, I'm going to have to do this publicly. There's not a more resilient community than the Jewish community. And to be Jewish and Republican and to stand for Israel in America is such a high honor and such an incredible mantle that God has placed on your shoulders. So be proud of who you are and keep fighting the good fight.
People can disagree, and we need to get back to that place because out of civil discourse comes real solutions that and really isn't that what a democracy is all about. So this is really a referendum on governance, not just Gavin Newsom, but it's a message to anybody who thinks that they can have a one-party rule and completely eliminate any interaction or understanding of what their citizenship and their citizenry really wants and needs, and the pain that they've been through and the solutions that they feel might be legitimate.
This division of America that liberals have turned us into. You're black, you hate white. You're white, you hate black. You're Jewish, you hate Christian. You're Christian, you hate Muslim. They've divided this nation so badly, and they keep bringing up what each person is. I'm an Hispanic, I'm Jewish. Well, that's great, but we're all Americans, and Democrats don't know that. This is the greatest nation in the history of the world ever blessed by God.
As we were watching all of these riots unfold across the nation, we kept hearing this narrative that these were peaceful protests. And yet our small business owners who were in these cities across the nation kept calling us and saying, it is not peaceful here. It is not. We are scared for our personal safety. Our businesses are being looted and robbed and burned down. And it's just unfairly, once again, unfairly censoring conservative content that the tech giants don't agree with. And our social media platforms have become like America's town square. It's where we debate ideas. It's where we share things. And to censor one point of view is a huge threat to free speech.
The reason that Hitler put the Jews in ghettos before moving on to the final solution was so that the Jews couldn't counter the narratives of the supremacy with their humanity. They wouldn't have been able to get to that final solution if they hadn't first put Jews into ghettos. The reason that slavery was able to remain an institution for so long in the Democratic Party controlled South was because they segregated black and white children from each other, so that blacks couldn't counter the narrative the Democrats were using to portray blacks as inferior and to justify slavery. Well, we cannot allow them to intellectually ghettoize us. They do so by shadow banning us. They do so by putting us in Facebook jail. They do so by firing us from our jobs or not hiring us or producing the materials that we produce. But we don't have to, in our day-to-day interaction, agree to be ghettoized. We need to speak up. We need to present our case. We need to present our humanity in every opportunity that is presented to us, because they own the media. They own the indoctrination process, the schools and the universities. They own social communications. But guys, we own the truth. And while they can be they can be one person, a Rosie O'Donnell or a Springsteen or whomever, hitting 1 million people at once, we've got to be 1 million people talking to our neighbors one at a time.
To me, I think still the most shocking thing is the search engine suppression. It's that it would just amaze people the extent to which the tech world is biased against conservatives. So Truman overcame all of that, and Trump is very much the same. He's not only been the best president since Truman, at least on Israel, but he's also been extraordinary on Jews, and he gets no credit from the media on this, but you can go through a list of his accomplishments.
Because that's how the left is winning. They're united in destruction. We need to be united in restoration. And we promoted Thanksgiving together and keep Christmas together. Don't allow the government to dictate to you your life. So if we want to really make a difference in where the direction that this country goes, we can't just fight policies and bills that we don't like and focus on elections. We've got to teach the American people what America is, what the Constitution is, what are your rights, where do they come from, how do you effectively exercise them. The Constitution of the United States is the great equalizer. It doesn't matter what gender you are, it doesn't matter what your sexual preference is, what race you are, it is the great equalizer, and it defends and protects the rights of everyone. But too many Americans don't know that.
Like you guys, I'm not a Washington guy. I'm a volunteer. You're a volunteer. We're the outsiders, and they're tired of us getting all up in their business. But we need to, because they've been doing a bad job. If you look at the professional conservatives for the last 20 years, until Donald Trump came along, what the hell did they conserve? Nothing. They just lost like gentlemen. I am not a loser. And if not being a gentleman is what it takes to win, let's go. They didn't teach me to retreat at Fort Benning. There wasn't a class at Loyola Law School in losing a case. I'm here to win. I'm here for freedom. You guys are here. You guys are here for freedom. And frankly, we ought to be listening to you guys, because the Jewish Republican Alliance is a voice of people who understand in their bones what happens when tyranny reigns in a way no one else can. And that's why you guys are such an important voice, and we don't give an inch on freedom. We don't give an inch on what's right. And we support the United States, and we support Israel 150%.
When you talk about conservative values, right, it's easy to forget what that means. It's about assuring national security. It's about low taxes, like you both described. Having the limited government. We've seen so many cases, especially in COVID, where government has failed. Government's done well in a couple of areas with this COVID crisis, but for the most part, government can't get out of its own way, much less ours. Fighting socialism, this belief in freedoms of faith and the Judeo-Christian beliefs that really underpin our culture and our Constitution. Cultivating those and encouraging those beliefs. This idea of American exceptionalism is absolutely important, and we are an exceptional country. We've lived through a lot of wars. We've fought for our freedoms. We've defined ourselves with this Constitution that's underpinned by law and order and due process and due diligence. And It's okay to take pride in being an American. It's okay to have faith in American individuals.
What did happen was I learned a lot from being on the inside of the unions. I saw their corruption. I learned that they are 100% not reformable. You cannot reform these unions. They want to be corrupt. They are corrupt. They are completely infiltrated by Marxism, and really, the reason that our schools are falling apart is because the unions want our schools to fall apart.
We have to replace the people that are in the classrooms, and I don't just mean like electing new ones. I mean, you become them. Our children become them. We need to make sure our children are involved in grassroots activism, realizing that, you know what, the teachers in the classrooms today have been groomed and they've been trained to do these things, where so much so that they're now having a conversation about bringing critical race theory to 1.7 million high school students in California. And this is happening all across the country. I just happened to read an article about that.
It's a sad reality, but this is the part of our country where we will slip and lose our freedoms and our liberties if we don't start to figure out how to motivate people in a very positive way to take positive action to win with integrity, but be able to wave that flag of great outcomes. When you're fighting communism and such like this, you just got to take their voice away. And so by winning elections and by disrupting this whole progressive left movement, that's how we stop all this other stuff happening, because they won't have any traction or influence if we take the offices away from them.
So many people feel this way. We can't just keep going harder and harder towards socialism. That is a road that ends in a very bad place. And we're not there yet, but we're on the road that goes there in the express lane. And it has to be stopped. We have to turn the vehicle around and go back toward freedom. That's what we owe to the next generation and all the generations to come.
But I think the heightened politicization of religion in America is a dangerous thing, because I think religion should be the conscience of a nation. Religion should be the conscience of a nation that speaks to issues and speaks to humanity, and is not co-opted by either, the right or the left. But when we remove that concept of God from the national dialogue, what are you left with? When you remove the big G, God, it's filled by another big G, government. And those are your choices. And it's going to be a very challenging, moment that we're going to walk through together. But I am hopeful, because we have seen history does tell us that in moments of great desperation, there is a righteous remnant that can rise up and help society correct itself. And that's the great work that JRA is doing. I mean, I've really got to applaud both of you for your principled leadership. It's not easy for you to be in this space. It's not understood. It's often vilified. But I think everybody needs to do everything that they can do within their sphere of influence at this season of time.
On the doors, I was putting chairs outside and getting generators for I was not going to shut the salon, Fortunately, that didn't happen. I just went to jail. But I would say, if there's something that you truly believe in, it doesn't matter if it's your business or whatever, and you're following your heart, then you do it. You do it. And if it's truly right, and there's no way that people should not be able to feed their kids. Like, that's illogical. It doesn't even make any sense. That makes zero sense. And for someone to make you apologize or make you feel bad about something that you know in your heart is good, and you do it anyway.
So number one, it's finding your own tribe, finding your own community. Number two, it's strengthening your boundaries, not wasting your energy on people who are just not receptive. Cognitive dissonance is a real thing. They've actually done brain imaging. When someone is given so much information that it is completely irrefutable, and it can rock all of the foundation that they're standing on, the brain just goes into denial because it's a painful sensation to take it in. It's a physically painful sensation. So not to waste your breath on people who are not receptive, but the people who are waking up, focusing on that, focusing on inspiring others, leading by example, and it's okay to be unapologetic.
There's no country in the Middle East that does more for people from outside its own citizenry than what Israel does. Israel gets the bad rap every time, and Israel is defending itself literally 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year from legitimate threats. And one of those greatest threats is not only a threat to Israel, but to the stability of the Middle East and the world, and that's Iran. Yeah. And you look at what the Iranian regime is like and what they do, and yet we seem to have presidents and administrations that come and go that think that that's their greatest attribute is being able to reach out to a country like Iran that's run by a theocratic lunatic and has been for decades. And I don't blame the Iranian people. They're great people. There are bad people there too. But the vast majority of that population is no different than most populations in the world. They yearn for the same things people yearn for here in America: liberty, freedom, security. And they have none of that because of the administration they are stuck under.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, virtually everyone on the planet will recognize those words as the opening of the Star Wars films. When you think about it, Star Wars is really about battles between good and evil. Who was good? The Resistance. And who was evil? The Empire. Well, sadly, it's playing out in what I call IRL, in real life. So who is the good? Who is the Resistance? That would be you, me, and all of us. We're fighting for the Constitution, rule of law, personal responsibility, liberty, freedom, capitalism. And who's the evil empire? They seem to be all around us, don't they? Whether it's the deep state, or the current administration, or much of academia and Hollywood, it's around us everywhere. And of course, big tech and the legacy media. Now in the movies, there were all kinds of heroes from every walk of life, whether it was Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, or Princess Leia. In real life, we have heroes as well, many of whom we've hosted, whether on the show or in person, like Dennis Prager, Larry Elder, Charlie Kirk, so many others, including Wayne today. There's also many heroes that are not famous who are fighting the resistance. That would be you. Every time you write a letter to the editor, every time you run for office or help someone run for office, every time you organize an event or attend a rally or donate or volunteer, you are fighting for the Judeo-Christian values upon which our beloved country was founded. Fight we must, resist we must, win we must. Now I sound like Yoda. Well, I started off by saying a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Well, 245 years ago, in the land beneath our very feet, our forefathers created the most spectacular, incredible, fantastic social experiment ever created in human history. We must continue to fight what they set up and created for us, and we must fight to help create the future that you and your family and all of our families deserve.
If someone ever asks you what the Jewish Republican Alliance stands for, well, here's what you can tell them: liberty, freedom, capitalism, low taxes, our Constitution, less government interference, school choice, strict constitutionalist judges, law and order, safety and security so people can pursue happiness, free market solutions to healthcare while protecting pre-existing coverage for all Americans, free and fair trade, and peace through strength. And I would add a few others: promotion of peace in the Middle East by strongly supporting the State of Israel, freedom of religion by protecting the rights of all Americans to freely practice their religion without fear of being attacked or government interference, supporting our veterans, free and fair elections with mandatory signature verification and IDs required in all states, while implementing a ban on unsolicited mail-in ballots and ballot harvesting, enforcing stricter prison sentences for violent criminals, but having compassion for those people who commit lesser crimes, who may be serving unfair sentences. The full support of free speech everywhere in America by passing legislation and punishing big tech if they continue to censor conservatives. Ending racial division. As Martin Luther King said, judging a person not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And finally, the Jewish Republican Alliance we continue to be big supporters of President Trump and his accomplishments and leadership. These are the issues that we support and that we are fighting for every day. We need you more than ever. Our country needs you more now than ever. Get involved, stay informed, make a difference.